In today's video, we will be focusing on a lesser-known princess, Feodora of Leiningen. Perhaps her name does not ring a bell. That is because her life is often overshadowed by her sister, one of the most famous queens of the United Kingdom, Queen Victoria. Every history enthusiast knows the story of the 18-year-old girl who suddenly became Queen of the United Kingdom and would go on to reign during one of the most important times in history. Her 63-year-long reign, which is known as the Victorian Era, saw a time of industrial, political, scientific, and military change. She laid the foundation for a modern monarchy, and at the peak of her reign, Victoria ruled over a quarter of the world. By having such a famous sister, Feodora is often overshadowed, and so today we will learn about her early years in Germany, her sudden connection to the British royal family, and her later life. Feodora and Victoria were half-sisters and shared the same mother, Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld. Feodora's father was Emil Karl, the Prince of Leiningen. Shortly before Feodora's birth, he succeeded his father as the second Prince of Leiningen. Leiningen was a small municipality that was assigned to Prussia in 1815. Her parents were married on December 21, 1803 in Coburg. At the time of their wedding, Victoria was only 17 and Emil Karl 40 years old. Anna Feodora Augusta Charlotte was born on December 7, 1807 in the then Kingdom of Bavaria. Her first two names were given to her in honor of her aunt, Grand Duchess Anna Feodorovna of Russia. She was the second child to her parents. Feodora's brother Karl was 3 years older than her. The siblings grew up in Amorbach. Feodora was described by her grandmother as a charming little clown. Her father died suddenly of pneumonia in 1814 when Feodora was only 6 years old and left her mother a widow at only 27. Feodora's brother Karl succeeded as Prince of Leiningen, but as he was only 10 years old, their mother took over the regency of the principality. Feodora's uncle Leopold was married to the heir to the British throne, Princess Charlotte of Wales. But when Charlotte died at only 21 after childbirth, the kingdom was left in a succession crisis. As such, it was Leopold who encouraged Edward, the Duke of Kent and Strathern, to ask for his sister's hand in marriage. Edward was the uncle of the late Princess Charlotte and the fourth son of King George III. Like his other brothers, he was now under pressure to produce a new heir. The wedding of Feodora's mother to Prince Edward took place on July 11, 1818 in Kew Palace. The newlywed couple resided in Leiningen, and Victoria soon found herself pregnant. And so, in 1819, Feodora and her pregnant mother moved to Britain since they wanted the potential heir to be born there. Shortly after the move, her younger half-sister Victoria was born. The Duke of Kent loved Feodora and Karl and treated them as his own. The family moved into a cottage in Sidmouth. Unfortunately, their time as a happy family was cut short when Edward passed away in early 1820 and Feodora was devastated. Feodora would later write to Victoria, "I loved our father, I loved him dearly." After Edward's death, the family had little money and had to rely on financial support from other family members. They moved to Kensington Palace with the help of Edward's sister, Augusta Sophia. There, Feodora was given a private tutor and learned horse riding. Growing up, Feodora and Victoria enjoyed a close but isolated childhood at Kensington Palace. Feodora served as a role model for young Victoria, hence the age difference of 12 years. However, Feodora, just like Victoria, was unhappy in the strictly ruled household with only a few other children to play with. Feodora also shared Victoria's dislike of John Conroy, their mother's financial advisor and alleged lover. She even encouraged Victoria to assume greater independence from their mother's control as she got older. On February 18, 1828, Feodora married the Prince of Hohenlohe-Langenburg, Ernest I, at Kensington Palace, with young Victoria being her bridesmaid. The marriage was arranged by Queen Adelaide, Adelaide being the wife of the then King William IV of the United Kingdom, and Ernest I being Adelaide's first cousin. As the half-sister of the future queen, Feodora could have married someone with a higher profile. Regardless of their age gap and lack of familiarity, Feodora considered Ernest to be kind and handsome. In fact, she was keen to be married in order to escape Kensington Palace. The couple moved back to Germany, where they lived in Castle Langenburg. Feodora even wrote to Victoria later, "I escaped some years of imprisonment which you, my poor dear sister, had to endure after I was married. Often have I praised God that he sent me my dear Ernest, for I might have married I don't know whom, merely to get away." As Feodora's husband often traveled to the town of Stuttgart, they took up a second residence there. The two sisters were reunited for the first time 6 years later, when the couple visited Kensington Palace. Upon her departure, Victoria wrote to her diary, "I clasped her in my arms, kissed her and cried as if my heart would break. So did she, dearest sister. We tore ourselves from each other in the deepest grief. I sobbed and cried most violently the whole morning." Feodora further maintained a lifelong correspondence with her half-sister and visited whenever she could. She was granted an allowance of £300 every time she visited Britain. One such visit occurred in 1838 for the coronation of Queen Victoria, in which Feodora was a member of the royal party. Feodora was also very active in charitable causes in Langenburg, founding the Children's Rescue Center in 1830 to help poor and orphaned children, and in 1853 founding the Poor Preservation Institute for Children and the Sick. Feodora and Ernest went on to have 6 children: Karl, Elise, Hermann, Victor, Adelaide, and Feodora. All kids except Elise survived to adulthood. Elise died at age 19 of tuberculosis. The two sisters offered each other parenting advice, with Feodora advising leniency when Victoria complained that her son, the future Edward VII, was playing pranks on his siblings. Victoria named her youngest daughter Beatrice, Mary, Victoria, Feodora in her honor. Ernest died in 1860 and Feodora remained in Germany, despite Victoria wanting her to come back to Britain. With financial help from Queen Victoria, she moved to Baden-Baden, where she purchased a villa. In 1872, Feodora's youngest daughter died of scarlet fever. Feodora was inconsolable, writing to her diary, "My lord, I would be pleased to let me soon depart." Feodora died later that year on September 23rd, most likely of cancer. Upon the news, Victoria wrote, "Can I write it? My own darling, only sister, my dear, excellent, noble Feodora is no more. She is at rest and peace since 2 this morning. What a fearful loss, darling, precious sister, whom I hoped so to go and see. I stand so alone now, no near and dear one nearer my own age, or older to whom I could look up to, left. All gone. How good and wise beloved Feodora was, so devoted to me, so truly pious and religious. She is gone to that world she was so fit for and entered it, just sleeping away. What a blessed end, but what a loss to those who are left. She was my last near relative on equality with me, the last link with my childhood and youth." A letter dated back to 1854 was found among Feodora's belongings after her death. It was addressed to Victoria and stated, "I can never thank you enough for all you have done for me, for your great love and tender affection. These feelings cannot die, they must and will live in my soul until we meet again. near more to be separated, and you will not forget. Feodora is buried in the main cemetery in Baden-Baden, Germany. While her name might not echo as loudly as some of her contemporaries, Feodora's social causes form her legacy. She is remembered for her charitable work and her commitment to help those less fortunate. She is also the ancestor of Carl XVI Gustav of Sweden and Felipe VI of Spain.